Good afternoon, members. Will the Government Relations Ethics and Transparency Committee meeting of September 2nd, 2025 please come to order? It is 1:41 p.m. and I apologize for the delay. Again, we were having some technical difficulties, which I hope is sorted. If not, it'll be sorted soon. I'm your chair, Nohelani Uuhajens. Members, in accordance with the Sunshine Law, please identify by name who, if anyone, is in the room, vehicle, workspace with you today. Minors do not need to be identified. Let's begin with Committee Vice Chair Tamara Paulton. Aloha, good afternoon.
Aloha Winala, streaming live and direct from my kitchen table in Napili. The West Maui Residency Area office is closed due to excessive construction on the restrooms to get ready for the Maui Adult Daycare Center folks. I have with me one adult male named George Vieira. Sorry if you can hear him talking. He is quite loud, as you may have noticed this weekend.
Thank you, Member Paulton. Aloha, George. Good to see you on Saturday, because that's where everybody sees each other is at Costco. So let's also continue with Councilmember Cook. Aloha and good afternoon.
Aloha, Chair. Good afternoon. There's currently no testifiers in the Kihei office. I'm looking forward to your meeting. Thank you.
Thanks. Councilmember Gabe Johnson. Aloha and good afternoon.
Aloha, Chair, Council members, committee members. There's no testifiers at the Lanai District Office. I'm alone in my workspace here, and I'm ready to work. Mahalo.
Thank you. Councilmember Tasha Kama. Aloha and good afternoon.
Aloha, Chair, and good afternoon. I am alone in my workspace, and I'm ready to work. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Council Chair Alice Lee. Aloha and good afternoon. Sawadi.
Sabaidi and aloha kako. Chair.
Councilmember Rollins Fernandez. Aloha and good afternoon.
Aloha awinala kako, my Molokai no Yahina. I'm at my private residence, currently alone, but will be joined by my two kids and my husband, McKenna Fernandez, within the hour. Thank you.
Perfect. Councilmember Shane Senensi. Aloha and good afternoon.
Aloha Winala, Chair. Happy to join from my home office. I'm here on by myself, and there's no testifiers in Hanachi.
Thank you very much. And Councilmember Yukile Sugimura. Aloha and good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm looking forward to a productive meeting. Thank you for taking this up, by the way. And I want to just express congratulations to Dwight Burns,
Yay.
Who's in the audience, and he just retired. So, yeah.
Yay. I know. We can ask him to volunteer on more boards, because later I'll explain the vacancies. Did our technical difficulties get sorted? Okay, great. I can read faster than I was now. Okay, from Corporation Counsel, we have with us Thomas Kobe, Deputy Corporation Counsel. Later, we'll have Yukari Murakami, Deputy Corporation Counsel from Office of the Mayor for our next item. For our second item, we have Jody Yoshida, Boards and Commissions Liaison, and Rissa Tamho, Boards and Commissions Liaison. For this first item, we have representing the Cost of Government Commission, we have Vice Chair Cameron Dexter. We also have Chair Jennifer Sullivan and Dwight Burns, who's a commissioner on the independent nomination boards. Our committee staff include Maria Leon, Committee Secretary, Casey Apo Takayama, Senior Legislative Analyst, Clarissa McDonald, Legislative Analyst, Peter Hanano, Legislative Attorney, and Lei Deneen, Council Services Assistance Clerk. Do we have anybody wishing to testify?
No, Chair, there is nobody signed up to testify.
Okay. Please see the last page of the agenda for information on meeting connectivity. If we do have any members of the public wishing to testify, I will then read all of the things I need to say for testimony, but let's move on then. And we have before us the costs of government. I have asked the cost of government to provide us with a status update on its study and recommendations for boards and commissions as the council urged via resolution 24-168 adopted on October 8th, 2024. We have with us cost of government Vice Chair Cameron Dexter and Independent Nomination Board Chair, Jennifer Sullivan. If there are no objections, members, I would like to designate them as resource persons under Rule 18A of Rules of the Council. Thank you.
No objection.
And to make it obvious, because of their special expertise on this matter. At this time, I'm going to request the presentation as we were working on from you, Mr. Dexter.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody, for inviting us to. As some of you may know me, I'm terrible with microphones. So if you can't hear me, please let me know. But in any case, I'm here to present our report from the Cost of Government Commission. Did the slide transition? Oh, there we go. It's a little delayed. So my name's Cameron Dexter. I'm the Vice Chair of the Cost of Government Commission. Chair Evan Dust was not able to join you folks today. He is on business. So unfortunately for all of you, you're stuck with me. But a little bit about me. I have my Master's of Public Administrations and Master of Criminal Justice. I studied at the University of Colorado School of Public Affairs. In my free time, I work on the Cost of Government Commission, and by trade, I'm a social worker for the state of Hawaii, judiciary. So this is our process in terms of developing our study. So first off, we reviewed our predecessor's study regarding boards and commissions back from 2010 and 2011. We then developed our own study scope, identified low-hanging fruit. We'll get into what we mean by that shortly. We developed surveys, analyzed some of these surveys, and now we're in the process of conducting follow-up interviews with directors and boards and commission chairs. And then we're also in the process of reviewing recruitment, nomination, and confirmation process. And hopefully by then all this will have a productive, actionable report for all of you to utilize. So in terms of low-hanging fruit, we've wanted to address the boards and commissions that would take the least effort to implement change. So from the lowest, we've determined those created by county code would be easier to change versus those established by charter. And then further after that is by Hawaii revised statutes. So we found that there's 17 boards and commissions created by county code, 15 established by the county charter, and 4 established and authorized by the Hawaii revised statutes. So among the low-hanging fruit, under the Department of Human Concerns is the Animal Control Board, Commission on Children and Youth, Council on Aging, Commission on Persons with Disabilities, Commission on Healing Solutions for the Homelessness. From the Planning Commission, we're examining the Cultural Resources Commission, the Urban Design Review Board, the Hana Advisory Committee to Planning Commission. From the Department of Agriculture, the Kula Agricultural Park Committee. From the Department of Management, the Affirmative Action Advisory Council, the Maui Redevelopment Agency, and from the Office of the Mayor, the Conservation Planning Committee. From Finance, we're looking at the Real Property Tax Review Board, and from Parks and Recreation, the Arborist Committee. The only thing that is not a low-hanging fruit is the Independent Nomination Board. In our preliminary findings, we're finding that there may be an issue with recruitment, nomination, and confirmation process. So our approach is two-pronged. So first, we've sent out surveys to department staff who work with the boards and commissions, and also to the various chairs of all the boards and commissions we're examining. We also did interviews with the Department of Human Concerns staff, and these are just some of the trends that we've noticed. First is, the problem is getting volunteers. So one thing that came out from the surveys is it's most of the respondents are saying it's taking about 6 to 12 months to get a replacement or a vacancy filled. The process, based off of what we've discussed, the process of nomination confirmation appears to be broken. So basically, what prospective applicants are finding is the process to be potentially hostile, or there's a lot to be in the public eye through the whole confirmation process. So with that being said, some people are a little bit leery about being open to public scrutiny, especially living in a small community such as ours. But that's just some of the things that we found so far. And sometimes we found, at least in one instance, there's a misunderstanding of, before we get to that, we found that board and commission members want to make meaningful contributions. So it's not for lack of enthusiasm. We have plenty of, well, I wouldn't say plenty, but we have the people who are serving actually want to make a difference and make a change in our community or help improve things. But sometimes there's a misunderstanding of roles and responsibilities. So in one instance, we found with one board and commission, they thought they did not seem to understand they are an advisory body versus one that may exercise, let's say, quasi-judicial authority or any other degree of authority. But another thing that we found is when establishing a board and commission, the one thing that seems to be indicated in our study is any board and commission will be a failure if it doesn't have the mayor's office administration, their support. That's a big part. So it takes a team to get it all together across the finish line. So a big part of this is the recruitment, nomination, and confirmation process. So alone reducing the number of boards and commissions is not a complete solution. We're going to look at the process. The confirmation process is perceived as hostile and toxic, and it may need some considerable revision. Some of the solutions that we've discussed is changing how we nominate people, and how many seats that we have. So standardizing each board and commission to about 9 members, 4 appointed by the mayor with no confirmation by council, then 4 appointed by council majority, 1 appointed by constituent panel, maybe a replacement of the independent nomination board. So where we're at next is we're still in the midst of completing interviews. So what we're hoping to do is provide a draft report in 2 parts. The first part is the recruitment, nomination, and confirmation process. Then after that, we then want to examine consolidation, elimination, and provide recommendations to eliminate, merge, or reduce the amount of boards and commissions that we have. So our rationale behind this is basically if the recruitment and nomination process is broken or is having difficulties, then if we fix that process, then the chairs are then filled. So then we have to be naturally asked the following question: would we be having this discussion if we could fill all the chairs, right? So, but it doesn't forego that, hey, maybe we may make that recommendation that some have to go. But again, we're still in the midst of our study, so there's a lot of things that we still need to work on. After that, we'll collect public input on our recommendations, and then finally, a report to the mayor and county council and county auditor. Without further ado, if anybody has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. I am limited only by the fact that I've been authorized to share with you today by the Cost of Government Commission where we're at right now, so some things I may not be able to answer. But if you guys want to send us correspondence, I'm more than happy to have that passed along to our technical writer.
Thank you very much. Before we get into discussion, though, I do need to make sure and double check if we have anybody willing to testify for this item for grade 5-2.
Chair, there's currently no one signed up to testify.
Thank you very much. Then without objection, I will now close public testimony. Thank you. As a reminder, written testimony will continue to be accepted. Members, if you have any questions for Vice Chair Dexter, please ask him. And if he's not ready to answer the question yet, as he's providing us a status update, Member Paulton has been beating everybody to the punch and creating stuff, which is great, which is why I wanted to have a discussion. So if you can't answer our questions, we will absolutely send you a letter. Is this presentation up on Granicus, the one we just saw? It will be. Okay, just FYI, that presentation will be uploaded shortly. That's what we were having technical difficulties with. I'm going to begin with Committee Vice Chair Paulton. I saw you have your hand up, so please ask your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Dexter. As Ms. Uuhajan said, I feel a little under the gun in that we have 2-year terms and, and then it's maybe or maybe not. But one thing I was looking at and I was moving forward with was the Animal Control Board and what you said about misunderstanding. Like the first time I was appointing or confirming folks to the Animal Control Board, I'm like asking them if they like cats and stuff. And then I found out all they really do is dangerous dogs appeals. So one of the initiatives that I was taking up was trying to appropriately name it, because it is, I believe, an HRS board, but it doesn't deal with all animals, and sometimes they get like, feral chickens, feral cats referred to them, but really all they do is dangerous dog appeals. And I think it's a 5-member board, and I think that's sufficient. So I just was wondering if you guys were discussing other things that can be done, such as that, and is it okay to keep the smaller boards smaller? Like, I understand like Council of Aging or something is 15, but are you talking about moving a 5-member board up to 9 members?
Thank you for that question. So what we're discussing in terms of restricting or reducing the size of boards and commissions, at least in my understanding of our discussion, is basically to reduce it from a larger size to a smaller size, not necessarily increase the amount of seats. But that would be something I think I would have to talk to the rest of the commissioners about in terms of what our intent would be with a smaller board or commission.
Okay, and then like I did float the idea with the director about making the Aging and Commission on Disability together, but she said that this particular groups did not want that. Have you folks considered combining any of the other boards?
Yes, so in particular, at least in our interviews that came up, between the Commission on Youth and persons with, aging and persons with disabilities, when we talked about merging particular boards and commissions that may have considerable overlap, one of the issues that came up was basically, it's not that they don't have enough to do. If we put them together, the concern is that they may have too much to do. So imagine typically, maybe, let's say a 2-hour sort of meeting going on much further because they have to address more items. But from what we were told, that's one of the biggest concerns about potentially merging some of these boards and commissions together.
Okay, one last question and then I'll share the thing. I don't want to be a question hog, but shoot, talked too much, I forgot what it was. I think, when you were referring to the boards that thought they could make changes versus being advisory, was that the 2 that we did away with, and the HANA Advisory Committee, as well as South Maui and Paia Haiku Advisory Committees? Were those the ones, or was that even the Planning Commission?
It was none of those.
Oh.
Yeah. It was,
You mind
I
saying which one it
believe,
was?
the particular board or commission that was referenced was Healing Solutions for the Homelessness.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you so much for the work you're doing. I'll yield to my colleagues so that everybody gets a fair shot.
Thank you, Vice Chair Paulton, Committee Vice Chair Paulton. Is there any other questions? I have a few, but I'll wait if there's any other members with questions. Member Sinensi.
Thank you, Chair. My apologies. I missed the first couple slides and didn't see what the low-hanging fruit were. If you can explain that again.
Yes, so our approach was to, if we were going to reduce the size or number of boards and commissions, we wanted to look at those that we can effectuate the easiest change. So that includes those established by county code. After that, it would be things that we could modify by charter, which of course is more difficult. Then after that, the highest hanging fruit, so to speak, is those boards and commissions that are permissible or mandated by the Hawaii revised statutes.
Okay, nothing to do with securing quorum or anything like that?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Member Sinensi. Members, does anybody else have any questions? Okay, I'll ask my few questions. First of all, thank you so much for your presentation and thank you for being here. When do you think the study will be complete?
That's a good question. I'm not in a position where I can give a definitive date, but we're working to speed things up as best we can, as far as I know.
Okay. Considering Member Paulton acknowledged that, we only have 2 years here, are you going to be presenting to us in this next year, or are you guys maybe going to present to this future council of 2027?
That's a good question. I do not know.
Okay. Okay. You mentioned the process being broken. The confirmation process is tough. I think you said hostile and toxic. Are you referencing the nomination process or the public scrutiny after decision making, if they're a quasi-judicial body?
Based off of what I was told from the interviews and the surveys, as far as my memory serves, it references both sides of it.
Okay. Okay. We cannot control, public scrutiny, but we can control what we do in this chambers and obviously help work well with administration. Do you folks have any advice, or do we need to write this in a letter and this is something you can continue to study on how we can make the process a bit more friendly and conducive to people wanting to participate?
So we'll have to proceed with our study. I don't have enough information to make any recommendations as of today, but specifically that's what we want to examine next and see how we can make improvements to the process.
Okay. We won't send you that in writing if you guys are already looking it up. And then as far as administration support, I know we have admin in here, but previously we would seat people in these seats and then we would get emails from them saying they haven't received a packet or they don't know what they're supposed to do. How can we prevent that problem in you talking to your people? How long does it typically take them to get a packet and get sorted so they can participate in these commissions and boards?
Our particular board or commission?
Yours, sure, or anybody else's that you guys have been working with. So I got like 5 emails at one time.
Okay, so you're asking how basically we could improve the whole process of getting administrative support? Is that what you're asking?
Well, I guess we could ask them how they could help doing that. But for you folks, there's a break after they're confirmed by council, and it's basically out of our hands, and then it goes to admin. And we don't know what happens in that time. And apparently, some commissioners don't either. There's a packet to fill out. There's an ethics packet to fill out as well. We've received a few emails and we've heard people testify that sometimes they don't even get that packet. Do you know how often that occurs and how we can prevent that break from happening?
I'm not in a position to say. I don't know at this point. I'll have to go back to the Cost of Government Commission for further examination of those issues.
Okay, thank you very much. Members, Member Rollins Fernandez.
Mahalo, Chair. Aloha, Mr. Dexter.
First.
Mahalo for your progress report.
Thank you.
I think I just have one question for now until your the commission's recommendations are transmitted. And maybe you said it. So the low hanging fruit, I guess. Okay. So since my time being on the council, I think we established the Healing Solutions Commission, and then we kind of like adjusted a different one, and that was the Conservation Planning Committee, and that was created before we got to the before I got to the council, and then it was just like a committee of the directors. So we discussed changing that, and that committee has like met like maybe 3 times in 6 years or never. I thought they met like a couple times. Yeah. Anyway, regardless, for those two, when we established it, most of those on the council established it so that it was set up so that the mayor would appoint the minority and the council would appoint the majority without, confirmation. It wasn't a nomination confirmation process. It was just a point, as you stated, that could possibly be one of the recommendations from this report. And I like that process. I think it's, anyway, that's why we did it. But with the independent nomination board now formed, all nominations go through the nomination board, I believe, even councils. So that's kind of like held up, created more of an obstacle for all the boards and commissions. And that would be a charter amendment. So some of the ideas that were presented as low-hanging fruit are not like necessarily going to be low because they potentially come with, a charter amendment such as this, which I'm not opposed to. I think if that's the way we're going to fix it and we have to fix it, I'm supportive of doing whatever it takes to fix it. But when the commission was discussing this idea of mayor's office appointing council, appointing, and potentially a third party appointing one, that it would come with a charter amendment, which is higher hanging fruit. Yeah. Go ahead if you have any comments.
That is correct. It would require a charter amendment, but I leave that to the other legal minds. I'm not a lawyer. Yeah, that's the only part of our study that would require more substantial effort to actually implement a change. That is correct.
Okay, so that was not described as a low-hanging fruit then in your presentation?
No.
Okay, the low-hanging fruit was just potentially renaming, combining, eliminating, or reducing the number of memberships.
Yes, those boards and commissions that are established through county ordinance.
Yeah.
Yes.
County code. Okay. That's my only discussion. Mahalo, Chair. Mahalo, Mr. Dexter.
Thank you, Member Rollins Fernandez. Members, any other questions? Okay. Oh, Member Senency, go ahead.
Did we take testimony already, Chair?
We didn't have anybody signed up.
Oh, okay. I just had some comments to your comments about toxic people feeling I mean, there are some boards and commissions that are more important or very, like the planning commission. And so when it comes to those commission, I think in the past, and I don't know I just want to preface that with, in the past practice, those commissions have been boarded with either realtors, developers, and consultants. And so sometimes when we're trying to work with these, we want to have maybe more a female representation. We want to have more environmental representation, and particularly representation from each of our communities. We have not seen that in past practices. So I think I'm saddened to hear that some of the applicants feel that sometimes it's toxic, and I get it that we have an appeals process or where you can go and get a ruling from the ethics if there's some conflict of interest. But in the past, my concerns when filling that commission with developers, construction workers, and consultants, sometimes their personal businesses become because you have a seat on this commission, their personal businesses can also get a huge boost. So I think I just wanted to preface those comments with past practice, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Sinenci. I don't disagree. The one thing I will add, though, is that when we have to, as council members, go and solicit people to participate in these boards and commissions, I don't know the response you folks get, but for me, majority is like, oh, no way, I'd never put myself out there like that, even if they have no relation to the construction industry or realty or have anything to do with that. A lot of people, at least the ones that I spoke to, are just like, nah, no thanks. But thanks though. We watch you guys. But that's all the participation people want to do. And I think that's difficult for a lot of our local community members. Most conversations happen around the dinner table. I think that's where most people feel comfortable having some conversation. And so to have it in public is already hard for most people to begin with. And then, and this council, I will say, we have done a pretty good job at being as nice as possible. Of course, we have tough questions sometimes, but I know we try. But I think it's worth noting that some people feel, not just us, but just I think, how much scrutiny is around some of the boards and commissions. It's difficult, and I acknowledge that as well. But I appreciate your comments, Member Sinenci. Thank you for sharing. Member Paulton, did you
Thank
have?
you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe a low-hanging fruit to start off with.
Yeah, we go past CAFA
Thank you.
before we start questioning people. Member Paulton,
Yeah.
you have any other comments you want to add?
Yeah, I didn't want to be a hog, but seeing that nobody thinks I'm hogging, I guess.
Please go
I wanted to make mention of like some things that I wouldn't mind for the Cost of Government Commission to consider. Like, I guess to Member Sinenci's point, there are some, I guess, I don't know if you call it high stress or controversial type of commissions where they do have a significant say on the outcomes of things, like Real Property Tax Review, Planning Commission, even Cultural Resources Commission or Urban Design and Review Board to some extent. And then there's other boards and commissions where, maybe for a long time we haven't really seen any output. And in that way, I think that's why we punted to the Cost of Government Commission in some way. Like, what is the return on investment? Like, we're putting in how many staff hours, how many volunteer hours, getting the location, posting the agendas, and what is the output of the committee. And I don't like to think of everything as a return on investment, but like, what is the purpose of us going through all this work to put it on if nothing is being outputted by it? And then also the quorum issues. I've gotten people, like, even with us putting people on the CRC, I'm still getting folks in Lahaina complaining about the lack of meetings of the CRC because that affects the rebuild and of the historic districts and things like that. And so, you know, we've done things over the years of my tenure, like if you are absent 50% of the time, then we're not, it's like an automatic, we don't need to actually get in contact with you. It's just assumed that you're resigned. And I didn't see some of the boards and commissions up there in your, or like, do you guys also are evaluating CRC or East Maui Water Authority or those kind of things? Is East Maui Water Authority considered a board and commission for you guys?
For the scope of our study, I don't think we include, if my memory serves, I don't think we included that as part of what we're examining. But I can bring back to the Cost of Government Commission to also consider output as we're evaluating each and every one of these particular boards and commissions.
Yeah, I put legislation to repeal the the Commission on Children and Youth because we hadn't seen anything, and then I guess they got a new crop of people and they're working on some projects, and so that's kind of a different thing, and then which is, you know, if they're doing things, that's one thing, but like, you know, it largely depends on the group of volunteers we get. Like the last iteration of the Board of Ethics wanted their own independent staff and things like that, and that seems to be going well. I think one of their proposed charter amendments was to allow people to serve a second consecutive term. And then we decided to like open it up to all, but I guess the public didn't go for that. But I also didn't see like any evaluation of the Board of Ethics. Is that because it's an independent board now, or because we need to have it? And you think that the process is efficient and streamlined and you have a good return on investment? Or is it just not that you've taken it up?
So what were you asking?
Like the Board of Ethics is not one you're considering, or
No.
just because it's not a low-hanging fruit?
Yes. Yes, we're focusing our efforts on those that could be changed by ordinance as the easiest means of consolidating or eliminating particular boards and commissions.
Okay, and so you guys were informed that we already repealed the Paia, Haiku, and South Maui advisory committees. Did you folks have any discussion about like letting the various districts have their own planning commission?
To the best of my knowledge, I don't think we've had that discussion yet, but we were advised about the elimination of those particular bodies.
Okay. And what do you feel is the goal that you folks are trying to accomplish? Like to eliminate boards and commissions that are not needed, or to make the process more efficient, or all of the above? Or what do you think the goals of your Cost of Government Committee is? And do you see the need of the Cost of Government Commission to continue? Sorry.
I've been only authorized by the Cost of Government Commission to speak regarding our study. But what I can say is we're looking at both efficiency and effectiveness of the various boards and commissions in our evaluation. So our study is going to be two-pronged in the sense that we're certainly going to look at the recruitment and nomination process, but we're also going to evaluate any potential for cost savings by either combining or eliminating particular boards or commissions.
And what resources have been made available to you folks in your examination?
So the biggest resource, I think, is our technical writer. She's been doing an excellent job in helping us get through this whole process. We've also been interacting recently with the department staff at the Department of Human Concerns. We've also had the luxury of people responding to our surveys. I didn't think we would get the response that we would, but sure enough, we did. So having people actually engage with us, I think, has probably been the biggest asset to how we've been doing this study, getting a pulse, if you will, of what's going on.
Okay, yeah, I'm a fan of Miss Pellegrino. Oh, there's a fire. Sorry. What about Miss Yoshida? Have you been able to ask them questions as to how it goes through the process? I mean, in particular to what our chair was asking about the packets and how the efficiency of that is, because she kind of, it seems, is taking over Miss Vicenne's job, which would like bring people through the independent nomination board, then I guess bring them to the mayor, then bring them to us, and then get them on the board. So have you been able to have them as a resource, Miss Yoshida and crew?
As far as I know, we haven't had those discussions yet, but based off of the next steps in our presentation that I conducted today, I believe that will be coming next.
Oh, okay. I'll stop asking you questions. Thank you for your service. And you're the Democratic guy too, huh? Or was that somebody else?
Yeah, no, that's me too.
Okay. They left that off your like long and illustrious resume.
Oh, I'm just a regular guy with a title, that's all. Hoping to help.
Yeah,
if I
me
can.
too.
Thank you, Member Paulton. To follow up on one of your answers to Member Paulton, how many people did you have respond to your survey?
Ooh, that'll have to get back to you on. We cast a rather wide net. So we're talking department heads and staff who directly work with the boards and commissions, in addition to board and commission chairs.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I would have to get back to Ms. Pellegrino on a complete totaling of all the surveys.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Member Rollins Fernandez?
Mahalo, Chair. Two questions. One is the commission looking at the history of the different boards and commissions and like providing like some historic background on why some are super obvious, but some, like the children and youth, for example, like if there was a specific thing that was going on during that time that made the, council or whoever created, I think that would be interesting to learn and see if, there's other ways of achieving that initial purpose. And then the second thing is, has the commission discussed ideas on how to, or included in the survey, ideas from current boards and commission members, ideas on how to retain or attract volunteers, such as like an opportunity to learn and develop by going to like a training or a workshop or something to do with that board or commission, so that they're not just on the job training, but also like have an opportunity to do professional development.
So to answer your first question, our technical writer, I'll continue to sing her praises today. She's provided excellent background information regarding some of the departments we've interviewed, because as we know, context does matter. So we do have a bit of history that we've gone through with some of these. In terms of how we've done our surveys from the particular membership, I would have to look at the specific phrasing of the questions. But as far as I know, I think we did ask questions regarding what's going well, what's not going so well, and any recommendations that they may have. But if there's any specific information you'd like us to collect, I could always bring it back to the Cost of Government Commission, such as if they have any ideas for retention or training, or if there's certain training that they want or need.
Great. Mahalo for both your responses on both those questions. I know like some of the feedback was, for example, Commission on Healing Solutions. There's like a conference, and I think it's mostly annual conference on housing and on, unsheltered. And being able to network with folks outside of, the county to see what other counties are doing, other organizations are doing, in order to bring some of that feedback and ideas to the commission was, something that I received feedback on. Mahalo. Mahalo, Chair.
Thank you, Member Rollins Fernandez. Chair Lee?
I don't know if you'd be interested, but I can talk fast.
Sure.
The Commission on Children and Youth was something that I started years ago when I was Director of Housing. And the reason why was because we had this very strong advocate, and she was focusing on early childhood education. And so I tried really hard to help her because she needed resources, a group to help her. And so that's the reason why it was started. And then I don't know what happened with it after I left, but it was because of that early childhood education program and movement at that time that needed the resources and support of a group called Commission on Children and Youth. Thank you.
Yeah, it's on. Thank you, Chair. Members, any other? Yeah, go ahead.
Her name was Terry Locke.
Terry Locke. Thank you. Members, do we have any other questions? If not, this item was proposed for no legislative action, and if you don't mind, I will now defer this item.
No objections.
Thank you. It is 2:29, members. We did get correspondence regarding our next item, and in order for that we could just post right at the beginning of this meeting. So I'm gonna take a 10-minute recess so we can all read it and come back at 2:40, and we will have the other people come up front and we'll do a little switcheroo down here. So the Great Committee is now in recess until 2:40, 10 minutes. Good afternoon, gang. Will the Great Committee please reconvene? It is 2:47 p.m. and we have in front of us our second item, Grade 5, Parent 3. On August 22nd, I sent an RLS to the Department of Corporation Counsel with questions on appointments to boards and commissions, including the application of Ordinance 5779, 2025, Sections 13.2, Parent 17, 13.2, Parent 8, parentheses 17, parentheses 18, parentheses 19 of the revised Charter of the County of Maui 1983 as amended. The correspondence is now available on Granicus, which is what we're breaking for, and the response. So at this time, I'm going to ask from opening comments from Deputy Corporation Counsel Murakami. Would you mind? Thank you.
I do have the letter. I apologize for the delay.
Oh, wait, can you turn on your mic? Thank you. So the members online can hear you.
Hello?
Hi.
Is it on?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we're good now.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Hi, my name is Yukari Murakami from the Department of Corporation Counsel. I apologize to council members and everyone online for the delay in getting my response letter. It is uploaded, I believe. Also, I wanted to make correction a little bit for that chart that I have for deadlines for council's turn. I meant to say was the council needs to take action to approve by that deadline that I had
Okay.
calculated using starting from March 11th.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else have any opening comments? If not, I'll move on to testimony and then we can begin discussion after. Anybody else have opening comments? Okay, seeing none. Oh, look, we went green. I see we have a testifier online with us, so I'm going to read the testimony language. And I will begin with, for individuals wishing to testify via Teams, please raise your hand by clicking on the raise your hand button. If calling in, please follow the prompts via phone, *5 to raise your hand and lower your hand, and *6 to mute and unmute. Staff will add names to the testifier list in the orders that the testifiers sign up or raise their hands. For those on Teams, staff will lower your hand once your name is added. Staff will then call the name you're logged in under or the last 4 digits of your phone number when it is your turn to testify. At that time, staff will also enable your microphone and video. Please make sure your name appears on Microsoft Teams as the name you prefer to be referred as, or as anonymous if you wish to testify anonymously. If you're in person, please notify staff that you would like to testify anonymously. Otherwise, please state the name for the record at the beginning of your testimony. Oral testimony is limited to 3 minutes per item, and if you are still testifying beyond that time, I will kindly ask you to complete your testimony. Once you're done testifying or do not wish to testify, you can also view the meeting on Akaku, Channel 53, Facebook Live, or MauiCounty.us/agendas as well. We will do our best to take up each person in an orderly fashion, and we will now call on testifiers wishing to testify at the beginning of the meeting. If you could please call our first testifier.
Yes, Chair. The first and only individual signed up to testify is the Royal House of Hawaii.
Aloha.
Aloha. How many are there today? So I know how much minutes I get to testify.
We have 2 items, and this is the second item, so you will have 3 minutes.
Okay, I will do both of them then. Okay, so aloha everyone. This is the Royal House of a member of the Royal House of Hawaii under Heva Nui. And as a native Hawaiian, roots going back all the way before this earth had light. And as a royal patent heir of Heva Helu 3237 Apana 2, where the new roundabout is in Kihei, Kulakai, where Hilton haven't, where the new Hilton is, we still haven't been contacted, and no one has had Kalamai, had any discussion with us and the descendants and the beneficiaries and the descendants of Heva to the undivided family lifetime estate on the entire Ahupa of Kaonaulu. For example, like how are many decisions being passed without contacting the descendants of the royal patents when that was all supposed to be done, and find the descendants of the royal patents because they own all the lands forever. And all the landowners and all the new developments are illegal landowners, and the TMK information, everything like that is getting erased from everyone's TMK, the legal information anyway. And I think that's a really great concern. I don't know, I just had to mention that too. But and yeah, please contact the descendants of the royal patents and follow Kamehameha III's laws. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Members, any clarifying questions for our testifier? Seeing none, thank you very much for your testimony. Do we have anybody else signed up to testify?
Chair, there is no one else who has signed up to testify. Would you like me to do a last call?
Yes, and as a reminder, this is item Great 5-3.
If somebody would like to testify in the chamber, please let staff know, or on Microsoft Teams, please raise your hand. This is final call. 3, 2, 1. Chair, it appears that nobody wishes to testify.
Thank you. Members, seeing there are no individuals wishing to testify without objection, I will now close oral testimony for this item. As a reminder, thank you. Written testimony will continue to be accepted. We're now going to move on to the discussion portion, members. I do have a 4-minute clock. I didn't mention that the last time, but I did add 4 minutes to the clock. And if you folks will allow me, I got a message that there was somebody new on the Planning Commission a few weeks ago that we didn't appoint. So it kind of struck my curiosity on how we got to that point. And then I think just before that, OCS and admin had a conversation about how the new ordinance of 5779 is being implemented, and which brings us to today. So if you folks had an opportunity to review the letter that Ms. Murakami sent to us, you will notice that 3 people were put to, one at the Planning Commission, one at CRC, and one at Police Commission. I just wanted to discuss the process, not necessarily the people, but just the process. And if you don't mind, members, can I begin the questioning, and then we're gonna move on to you folks, if that's okay? Thank you. So, Ms. Murakami, I'm looking at your letter now, and this is for question 1. And this is about your second sentence in, and it says, therefore, the requirement of section 24105(0)A to provide a list was never triggered. I have a question about that because this council attempted to appoint 2 members to the CRC. One was brought forward by Member Paulton, another was brought forward by me to fill those seats. And we were not able to do so because we had this long conversation about the list that doesn't exist. I used a potential love letter of me writing to Member Senensi, and if I never sent it to him, my love remains unrequited, just like these boards continue to remain vacant. So I do believe that the requirement for that section should have been triggered. If not triggered, how do you folks provide us a list when we are going to appoint people? And skipping ahead a few, looking at the schedule for the appointments, do we require a list, or is this a unilateral appointment by the council? And how is that going to work? Yep, start where you need to start.
Okay, so starting from the last question, I think that might be a little bit easier to answer, is that for these deadlines that I have, it's council's turn to appoint, so it's appointment. I believe you follow then the section in the ordinance that talks about each council member is able to nominate a person for a seat, and then they can be confirmed during council during a 30-day period.
Do we need a list?
No.
We do not need a list.
And so I'm only talking about these are the ones that outstanding ones where
Yep.
there was never a list. Yeah, but
Right.
no, there's not a requirement. So, council members are free to nominate anyone they wish. And I don't believe there's also any residency requirements on that as well. So I think the council member can nominate someone who is outside of their residency. There's no requirements that I see in the ordinance to do so.
Okay. There's not a residency requirement to what council member nominates a potential applicant, but there could be a residency requirement for whatever applicant is sitting on whatever board. Yes?
Yes,
Okay.
correct. Sorry.
Can you please clarify, and I can't remember when we had the CRC people, but I know it was a council meeting member, maybe Member Paulton remembers, but we were, again, unable to appoint somebody because we didn't receive this list. Can you clarify what happened then and where we are now? Or was that, do you remember?
And I have to go back to my memory. If it was before the ordinance was established?
Nope.
Or not?
After.
After? Then I do have to go back and look at the minutes again and then.
Okay. And if we were provided wrong advice, how do we rectify that?
I will also get back to you on
Thank
that.
you, I'd appreciate that. And then for number 2, I think this is your calculation on whose turn is when to appoint somebody to the whatever boards and commissions.
Yes.
I notice you have language on Sunday or a holiday. Can you tell me how you calculated that and how come it doesn't end on a Friday, or how come we said Sunday and not even Saturday? And would
I
that
followed
shift the
the-
dates?
Sorry, so I followed the county code 1.404, I'm sorry, something 1.04 dot 020E, which said a calculation of time is based if the last day ends on a Sunday or a holiday, and it gets to the next business.
So what
day.
happens if it ends on a Saturday?
So I didn't see that as a exception, so I ended it on the Friday beforehand,
Will you send that to us, please?
Yes.
What you're referencing?
the code, yes.
Yes, please, thank you. And then, members, on the list, you'll notice, I think on the last page, it goes the appointing schedule for boards and commissions without the IMB list. So this took effect, which I'm going to be honest, members, I didn't realize this took effect as it did. So I apologize. I don't remember having this conversation, but we are where we are now. So I will read it out loud. We passed the ordinance on March 11th of 2025. We apparently triggered first. So we had until April 10th of 2025 to produce nominations. And then it went to admin, where they had until May 9th of 2025 to produce. And then went back to us. So we skipped over our turn apparently 3 times, which is going to lead me to my next question though. So then it was our turn again on June 9th of 2025, admin's turn on July 9th of 2025. It is currently, we skipped August 8th, 2025. And right now, obviously, it is September 2nd of 2025. And according to admin's calculations, according to our calculations, we can begin today. But according to admin's calculations, we now begin on September 9th. We have an opportunity to appoint people unilaterally without a list and without it going through the normal process where it goes to IMB, then mayor, then us. So my question is, why didn't anybody tell us? We went 3 times. We got no correspondence that it was our opportunity to fill these vacancies. This council has been working really hard to fill these vacancies. There were 25 of them. 3 of them admin filled on this last round, so in July. But did you send us any correspondence to be like, hey, council, just FYI, can you guys put anybody in here?
No, and I apologize if that didn't come through.
Yeah, that absolutely didn't come through, and it has been a long time. 3 cycles of which there was no correspondence to this council, this committee, to say, hey, 25 people, 25 vacancies, you guys have an opportunity to fill, which is not super cool because we're trying to figure out how to figure this out. We just had a whole presentation on how we're going to manage boards and commissions, how we can effectively manage boards and commissions, and 3 times. But anyways, that's where we are today. Member Paulton, I see you have your hand up, so please ask your question, and then we'll go with Chair Lee.
Thank you. Yeah, I just gotta say it. Like, I don't want to be hostile or toxic, but I'm kind of pissed off because I had put in Jeremy De Los Reyes for Planning Commission. He went through the independent nomination board. He keeps asking me when he's gonna be on. If I knew I had till August 8th, I would have had, his application is already in, you know? And then the mayor puts somebody from Upcountry, nothing against Upcountry, but they're not rebuilding the whole SMA area. We got 2 guys from Upcountry right now. Do they live in Lahaina where the whole SMA is being rebuilt? Super uncool, and I'm gonna let him know, and I'm sure he's gonna let the mayor know a piece of his mind on tomorrow night. But like, this is the broken process that was just being spoken about. You got this secret calendar going back and forth on any kind of days. Where is us in the process that it's our turn to do it? This is a broken process. Boards not meeting because of quorum issues or whatever, and nobody even knows what's going on. Like, this is really embarrassing. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I had his application in, he said, oh no, you can't act on it. Now there's a vacancy, but nobody appointed somebody from Kahului. So he got shafted out of his turn. It was still in there. His application was at the independent nomination board. His application was with me. I put it in and you said, no, it's not your turn. And then you never said, oh, now it's your turn or anything. Like, bruh, I'll let him know, and I'm sure he'll let the mayor know a piece of his mind, but that's between the 2 of them. It's just kind of shitty. That's all I got.
Chair Lee?
Just for our information, I'm sure Corp Council seems to be taking responsibility, but who else is involved in the process with the mayor's office?
That's a great question. Can anybody answer?
Well, we submitted for our FLS. We thought it was the regular, submit a nominee and go through the process. But then when it came back, they said, oh no, these were in for these spots because they're so old, it falls into the ordinance. I mean, you all signed off on the ordinance.
You said they said, who's they?
Oh, Corp Council came back and said, oh, these don't need a reso. So that's why we didn't even know. Me and Jody just started, right? So we didn't know that it fell, that these particular, they were so old, they fell into that ordinance.
All right.
But this all got signed, right? So, I mean.
I'm not trying to, dwell on whose fault it was. Now that I know it's everybody's fault. The thing is, how do we fix it going forward, and how do we prevent the problems going forward?
We had a meeting with Peter and, is it Tom? We were trying to all we want is to fill seats, right? We're trying to make this as an easier process. There's people's names on the IMB. We're not sure of how we can, apparently we can't give names to you guys. You guys have to formally ask for them, or we're just not sure about how everything works. But if you guys need names, we're more than happy to share them. We're even trying to see if we can do a shared document or something to let you know people who have come through the IMB. If you guys are looking for applicants, there are people there. Sometimes it's just, they don't fall into a particular residency, or they don't have a particular skill set. And so they just.
Let's have your candid opinion. Is this process worth fighting for?
I think the INB is working. We've got a great 9-person board. They're super well-rounded. They're really great. They ask amazing questions. They're doing all the vetting and the interviewing for you guys. So, it should help with the legwork of having to go out and recruit. They're more than willing to recruit people. We do have a list kind of going of, people you guys can pick from. But we're unsure of the process of how do we share those names? How do we make it easier?
Okay.
And then.
Well,
I mean,
that's
we
our chair's
apologize
job for
this.
us.
We
Our
weren't
chair's-
sure about
Our chair's going to take care of that. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, members, there are currently, I think, roughly 43 vacancies. But specifically, there are now 22 vacancies that have existed pre-IMB. So I think that's what's a little bit confusing. So these 22 vacancies that need to be filled don't go through the IMB process. So they either are appointed by mayor unilaterally or us unilaterally. And that's kind of what we're talking about now, is the vacancies that have been established pre-IMB. We do have another list of vacancies that have been established post-IMB, which are the delta between 22 and 43, so 21. Those are the ones that the IMB are going to help us fill and send a list. So I know that member Sugimura has her hand up, but can I ask real quick to, what's your name? Sorry. Risa. To Risa's point, how is communication going to work between IMB, admin, and us so that if mayor fails to act on the 21 vacancies post-IMB, how are we going to receive a list so that we can appoint for those seats, those vacancies? Are we going to have a, shared document? We're going to send it via post? We're going to send me a carrier pigeon? How is this going to work? You don't need an answer now, necessarily, but this list, this elusive list has been discussed. We do have emails, so however, you don't have to answer now, but that's something we're gonna need to figure out, is this communication of this list to fill the vacancies post-IMB. Because the list pre-IMB, we don't need it.
Yeah, right.
Member Sugimura.
The unfortunate thing is this whole process is very confusing, and you can tell, right, what's going on. And I would imagine, thank you to the members of the INB who are volunteering their time, and then all around you, there's this chaos going on. So how can you give your time and be efficient is my question, right? So it can be in writing, but can somebody say, this is what is supposed to happen, and, or do a chart? This is where council communicated, with them or with who, and, get it straight. Because just by looking at this, it doesn't tell me. It tells me what dates we missed, but it certainly doesn't tell me at what point we were going to be communicated with, and then who can we select from? If you're saying that there's a list that we have to select from, why? I mean, why is it that we're going to select from this list if the council may have other people they want? I mean, how do we get here, I thought that this was the blue ribbon idea when this is going through the Charter Commission, that this is the way that is going to, streamline this process, and it's supposed to be transparent, I thought. So everybody who applied then would know, but then we're hearing at one of the meetings that you couldn't reveal who was nominated to protect their integrity, or I don't know the word. Yeah, anonymity. Yeah, that word. But I think this needs to be straightened out if it's going to continue, because once it starts impacting our commissions, especially the high level commissions ability to perform, it's not working. It is really not working. And I would imagine that you in the mayor's office, you must want to do a good job, right? So you're doing all of this stuff, but it doesn't sound like what you're doing is being communicated to the next step, I think. Well, at least not to the council. So can there be a process that you can say, step one, this, step two, this list? I mean, we're used to seeing the list that says, how many members, they have to be from what districts, and there's a vacancy from that district, and you just can't fill anyone. That part needs to be communicated to us, which I think Casey and OCS staff always did a really thorough job. So whenever a reso came to us, we knew exactly what we needed to do. But now it's kind of like we missed all these deadlines. How in the world did we miss it when we didn't even know, you know? So is this another letter that we have to send to Corp Counsel?
Well, I'm gonna ask actually that we discuss a process now. When I said you don't have to answer me now, I meant literally like Ikie or Manavo, but I'm hoping before this meeting ends, we do have a process. Because I don't want to have this conversation just lingering in the back of my mind. I would like to talk about how that's gonna work. I would like to talk about when they send us a list, knowing we don't need a list for all of them. And not only when should they, but how will they, to allow for us to have time, because we only have 30 days. And unlike admin, you know, our public process takes a long time. So 30 days will come and go. So we need to be prepared before our 30 days begins. So we're gonna either need one, a running list, or two, figure out a way to automatically update this list. Because if the list is not complete, then, you know, it does us no good for those vacancies created post-IMB. But we have, you know, an hour and 15 minutes to figure that out. But for right now, I'm going to go to Member Cook.
Thank you, Chair. I think what we need is, okay, I think what we need is a flow chart. Would make it a lot simpler to understand, to visualize. I mean, from the way mine works is we have the three entities. We have the IMB, we have the administration, and we have the council. And the three entities need to be in the lineup of how it's going to work. Maybe Corp Counsel can answer this. How come we have this separation of pre-INB and post-INB? Why can't they all just simply go onto a list that the INB is reviewed and done? It seems like this date transition, and it seems to make the INB totally ineffective and frustrating for everybody. So one, is it possible to get a flow chart? And then two, is it possible to get for me to get an understanding? It may be right in front of me, but I don't understand why the 27 and the 21 and the 47, and it's just, we could probably make it more complicated, but we'd have to work at it. So it's not, it's kind of like, that's a spaghetti question.
Thank you. And then as far as the flow chart, we're going to try and work on that so that it will be, everyone can look at it and everyone can make comments on it, and then it'll be clear for everyone. So I would work with the administration how that flow chart would look like. As the second question, I believe the caveat or in not being able to use, having a list required for all independent nomination board is then, I guess it becomes of when is that deadline going to be at? If IMB wasn't there to begin with, but they're supposed to have, say for resignation, they were supposed to have 60 days to submit a list, but they weren't there at that time the vacancy was created. We can't go back in time and say the charter applies backwards to when it wasn't there. So we can't say that IMB 60 days was there and then there was 30 days there. And so that's why we had to pick, when I picked the dates, I picked up March 11th as the starting date. I knew that was when the ordinance was taken effective. So that's how I could start the time again. So that's what the issue would be, to how do you get the timing to start again, so the deadlines can be triggered for IMB or the council or the mayor for administrations.
Clarification. So the IMB has 60 days to review, and do they have to take 60 days? If you have 27 applications that are already all signed up and queued up, could they kind of like go in and be prioritized, processed?
Yes, so if there's...
To simplify all of this?
Yeah, so, and it's gonna also depend, and again, this is, I guess, the limitation having a sunshine law board, the sunshine law appropriate board, is that their meeting dates may not fall within those 60 days either. At least one meeting, but it may not. So more often than not, the IMB will be submitting a list of names if they have a list prior to the 60 days. And then that means that the mayor has, I believe, 30 days then to submit a nominee to believe, right, to 460 for the resignations, we're talking resignations, to council for another 30 days for council to approve that. So, yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, members online, I see that you guys have your hands up. I'm going to go with Member Kama, Member Rollins Fernandez, and then Member Johnson. She has 3 hands, Member Rollins Fernandez has 2 hands, and Member Johnson, you have 1 hand up. So, Member Kama, if you don't
I think
mind.
that was the order.
Oh,
Yeah, that was the order.
Oh,
Chair.
okay,
That was
sorry.
So Gabe was first.
I thought Member Kama had
Johnson was
all her
second.
hands up. Okay, we'll go, sorry,
Yeah,
Member
yeah, I was
Johnson, then you go first. It's you up first.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, because I thought the same thing. I thought Councilmember Kama's spam pushed
Yeah, I thought
the
you did
button.
3 times.
So it sound, okay. All right. Oh, man, I kind of feel like, I'm trying to, it's very hard to stay positive in this kind of, discussion. You know, it's just a result of people not working together, working in silos. There's no collaboration. The people are unsure of the process. The administration is slowing it down, and I think the ineptitude is showing. I'm sorry to say it. When we try to make policies, I try to make it so that the administration and the administrative burden is not too much. I try to work with the administration and not make policies that they can't do or administer. But this is just, I can't see how hard it could be to get these folks into these positions that we all seem to want. We all say we want. It just reminds me, like, you know, before this process of the IMB, it was to stop these political favored appointments, right? You know, or these folks that were just too close to, they were getting appointed for the wrong reasons. So instead, we switched out politically favored appointments to just bureaucratic chaos. I mean, this is chaos. I think we wanted to take out the politics, and what we installed was bureaucracy. So I want to kind of just move forward here and say, can we just have Corporation Counsel, OCS, come up with a calendar, the lawyers talking to the lawyers, making sure that we're following the process, because as council members, we're spinning a lot of plates. And for Councilmember Ula Hodgins to be on top of this deadline, that deadline, that's a whole lot, among the other things that her committee is supposed to be doing. So I guess my question now is, can we see the lawyers working together on this, and whose court is the ball in right now? Right now, as we speak, who's supposed to be pushing names up right now? Because maybe it's on us right now. We got to go jump at this opportunity. So those are my questions. Can OCS and Corporation Counsel work together, come up with this deadlines and explain to the council? And then where are we right now today?
Member Johnson, thank you for asking that question. So right now, it's with admin. According to their calculations, they have until the 8th to bring forth, or rather unilaterally submit names on their behalf. Our turn will start on the 9th. So before we end this committee, which I know we're not, I was gonna let you folks know that OCS is gonna send us all an email to let us know what boards and commissions we have to fill unilaterally, those 22 seats, and when they would need to get done by. That I was going to end the meeting with that, but since you asked,
Okay.
that's what's going to happen. And according to admin, our time starts on the 9th. But I like
Thank
your
you. Thank you,
suggestion,
Chief.
and I don't disagree that OCS and Corp Counsel can work together to not only figure out a process and a timeline, but figure out how we're going to work on our communication, and figure out how this invisible list is going to be, passed through.
Thank you, Chair. As my final note is, this was on the ballot. The people voted for this. And this is the product we gave them. It's kind of bananas. Thank you.
Did you want to comment on working with OCS staff, Ms. Murakami? I know you guys just had a meeting, but maybe going forward, we can have a meeting or you all can have a meeting and figure out what process is going to work and how the
Yes.
list from IMB is going to be sent over to us.
Yes,
And
I'd like to have like a even if it's gonna be a regular ongoing meetings to have with OCS. And
I'd appreciate that. Thank you. And I just volunteered OCS because I didn't ask them their opinion, but nobody said no, so we'll go with that. Member Rollins Fernandez, your question?
Mahalo, Chair. Okay. whew. So the creation of the INB was a little bit of a Frankenstein creation of what Member Sugimura mentioned, the blue ribbon nomination board and a confirmation committee or appointment committee. And a big part of the purpose of the INB was to, increase transparency and then also help with recruiting. Because both the council's offices and the administration could use that help. So those were the overarching purposes of the INB, which growing pains. So then the charter was silent in providing direction when both the mayor and the council missed the deadline, or when I don't remember exactly. I think it was something like that. And then out of that, to address the silence in the charter, this whole new process was created, far more complex than pre-INB. And so I agree with Member Cook that it would be great to have a visual so that we can all understand when to expect the list, when to not expect the list, or when a list is not required, and then when an appointment is appropriate with or without confirmation. It's a lot more complex than before, and growing pains are expected, but this is intense. I would like to suggest perhaps, I'm a fan of Google spreadsheets, and that's what we use to track our testifiers. And I think perhaps, because multiple people can see it at the same time, and you can see changes being made in real time, that maybe that's one way to be able to kind of track the mayor's deadline and then the council's deadline to fill vacancies. That's what I got right now. Mahalo, Chair.
Thank you, Member Rollins Fernandez. I appreciate those comments. Member Kama, your questions?
Well, question, comments. I'd like to be able to see from what point to what point does the INB do their role, and at what point does the administration do their role, and at what point does the council do our role, and is there something that is laid out similar to what previously was said, putting out a Google Maps or a chart or something that tells us who, what, when, where, how, so that we can be clear about the direction that we're going in, because right now I feel like we've been spinning and it's quite dizzy on my end. But I would like us to move on and to just get this taken care of, because we have our public that is waiting to serve, and we're over here trying to figure out how to make that happen when we should have figured it out quite some time ago. So I don't have any questions, Chair, but that's just my comments. So, Imua.
Thank you. I appreciate those comments. That's why we scheduled this meeting today, so we could figure out what went wrong. So we're not going to do that again in the future, so we can figure out how to course correct. That's why we're here today. Member Sugimura, you have something to add?
Clarification. So does the INB select everybody?
It selects everybody post creation of INB. So it goes from post creation of INB, which was approved by the electorate. They review and submit a list of names to the mayor. Mayor then selects those and sends it to us for confirmation. The remaining list of names will remain on a list for us to appoint for vacancies created post-IMB. Pre-IMB, none of that matters, and we go back to unilateral appointment, which are 22 seats.
Okay, I have a question.
Post-IMB, 21 seats, with 5 alternates.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yeah.
The last appointment that was done by the mayor, and this is post, right? That's the post period. So was that within the confines of what you just described?
So the last appointment that was done by the mayor was done unilaterally pre-IMB creation. So it was actually 3. So we have somebody now sitting on Planning Commission, CRC, and Police Commission.
Those 3.
Those 3. Those are appointed July 8th and 10th. And we got county communications for that.
So we don't have to confirm it.
We do not have to confirm that because that was pre-IMB, unilateral appointments. And so when it is our turn to have unilateral appointments, we don't take direction from the mayor. It is within our hands to determine who we see fit to serve on what board.
So how did that become a pre when we're sitting right now in post to me?
Because there was vacancies that existed previous to the establishment of the IMB. That was Member Cook's question, how come we cannot just group them all? Basically, they're existing non-conforming vacancies.
Okay. So we're going to get next to their name, or we're going to get,
There should be like a little
The vacancy
asterisk.
list.
Yeah. So, members, do we have any other? Go ahead.
So these vacancies don't necessarily have any applicants.
No.
There's not a list of applicants that we would know, he would know. It's like, just say round numbers, 20 vacancies pre-INB.
Sure, yeah.
There isn't an existing potential list to look at. We need to, when it's balls in our court,
We need to
we
solicit.
go, okay, that's why we need a little bit of forewarning, would be nice.
Yep.
We need to reach out in the community, identify people who would be qualified, willing applicants, that we could seduce them, bribe them to step up, and then we would unilaterally, if in the majority, would simply place them on that commission.
Yep, for, if the vacancy was created pre-IMB, yes.
So, thank you very much.
You're welcome. I think a flow chart will help, for sure. Member Senensi?
Point of clarification.
Yes.
Um,
No bribing
can we
will be
strike
commenced.
The record that we're not, that we're not bribing
Yes,
anyone?
I know, I heard it too.
Okay.
Yeah. We can beg, not bribe, wrong beat.
Hello, Member Cook.
Yeah, thank you for that. Member Senensi?
Thank you, Chair. So our opportunity coming up will be in October and December.
No. Our opportunity coming up will start on September 9th. So September 9th, according to admin, using if the deadline falls on a Saturday, or I'm sorry, a Sunday calculation, which they're gonna send over to OCS, and when they talk story, they're gonna find out what calculation is what. But for now, we'll go with September 9th, because that gives us some time to get our life together.
And we're addressing the post list or the pre-list?
Pre-list. Post-list
Thank
will
you.
go through IMB. Pre-list is what we're kind of focusing on now, other than communication. But the pre-list has 22 seats, and OCS will be sending out an email to let you folks know which different boards and commissions we have the opportunity to unilaterally seat somebody.
And we'll take turns until we get rid of the pre-list. And then it's
Yep.
all IMB.
Yup, we will junkin' and monkin' all the way until we figure it out, unless we miss the term that's, I guess, expired, because I do see some terms that expire in 2026, which is going to be March of 2026. So maybe you can answer what we do after the vacancies, pre-IMB, when they expire, do they then revert to this new IMB version?
No, so how I see it is that the expiration date for those ones, that's March 31st, 2026. It'll all be part of mass nominations. So the IMB is required to provide a new list for that mass nomination for 2026.
Okay.
So theoretically, you only go back and forth until the term is ready for mass nomination.
Okay, until, yeah. There's a few that's 2026. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Member Senenzi. Member Paulton? Oh, Member Paulton, we can't hear you. You're still on mute.
How about now?
We can hear you now.
Okay, thanks. I just was communicating with my applicant that I didn't know it was my turn to nominate. And he had been, he also applied with the INB. And so he was calling me and like asking me about the INB, and I didn't know. And then apparently the INB put forward some other person upcountry's name. Is it the practice of the INB? Are they gonna let the applicants know if they're gonna put their name forward or not? Because I kept getting called and I don't know the answer. I mean, it's kind of courteous if you let them know, like, yeah, we're gonna choose you, or, oh, sorry, somebody else, we're choosing somebody else.
Well, we gave Mayor a list of people who had gone through the IMB. So he chose from a few applicants. But then the applicants are informed that their name will stay on a list for a year.
Oh, because the mayor told the applicant he never knew Jeremy applied. But Jeremy told me he went through the IMB. So is the mayor not being truthful, or how did that work out? Or he just don't want the Jeremy rat?
I believe that we sent the names we had, all the people. My planning commission is probably the most applied to board or commission, which in this case, usually there's no spot, so then they try to like.
Delos Reyes' name on the list that was sent to the mayor, just trying to get to the bottom of the story, because I'm sitting in the middle.
I believe so,
of all of it. Ah.
A little louder so we can hear.
So mayor doesn't have to go with the list either, IMB. He voluntarily will ask for if there is a list available for a particular vacancy, but at this point in time, he's not required to because it's a unilateral appointment.
He's not required to, but he knew who
Isn't
was
that
on
the
the
reason
list.
we created the INB?
So he's not required to use the list from the IMB if the vacancy was created
prior to IMB.
Prior to IMB.
Going forward
Okay,
in the
but-
vacancies, current vacancies, if there's a vacancy that's happening, he is required, if the list was provided to his office, to pick from that list.
Yeah, I think somebody somewhere along the line, there's either a misunderstanding or there's not a truthful situation, because I don't know, yeah.
Member Paulton, would you like them to do a little bit more research on this applicant, and then they can get back to you on figuring out what happened?
Yes, please.
Okay, that might be good. Because the whole point of the INB application was sometimes to keep the applicants at that time anonymous, which now talking about him using his whole first name, I know he already came here, defeats that purpose of them remaining anonymous at their time, but not anonymous when they come to us, when they convert from applicant to nominee. But we can look into that and figure out and get you a better timeline on what happened and when.
When are we seeing that the INB was not, is it January 2025 it started, or when did the INB start?
I think it was July 1 of 22?
24.
24? No, can't be 24.
First meeting was April.
April. 2024.
Also, April 1st, 2023 would have been when the charter would have been effective.
because it was delayed some. So we had a lot of back and forth on what we can do with the IMB because the creation of the IMB was quite delayed.
Yeah,
It was,
because from what I see is.
it was supposed to be July 1 of
the vac-
2023.
Yeah, so the vacant position that was filled was from a person that resigned on, wasn't it Joshua Circle Woodburn was appointed to a term expiring March 31st, 2027, is that correct?
Yes.
And that position was vacated on March 12th, 2024, so that's post INB, if the INB was July 1st. So that's a post INB situation, right?
We have it listed as
Okay, so
February
that's because,
27th. Sorry, February 27th, 2024? Is the date listed on our,
That Blaine Uphold resigned
Blaine Uphold
February
resigned
27th.
February 27th, 2024.
Okay, then we're having different dates, but that's still after July 1st, 2023, right? So that's the INB process.
Correct, but IMB didn't have their first meeting until, I believe, April 2024. Was it April or end of March? End of March 2024.
Okay, and then the discrepancy between when they resigned, how come one paper says February and one paper says March?
Yeah, I have March 12th, 2024.
That we'll have to take a look into how that difference in dates happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Member Kama, I
So,
see. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Member Paulton. You can continue, and then Member Kama's turn is up.
I just was wondering if we could get, I guess, until we resolve, because I feel like the pre-INB list should take precedence, because that means like there's been vacancies for like over a year. So can we get like two lists, one like pre-INB and one post-INB, and then like what are the criterias and things like for each list? Because I mean, I just put out a kahe on social media and people tell me they want to be on it. I don't know why it's so hard for others, but I don't know. Difficult.
Maybe they don't have the social influencer status you have, Member Paulton. We're still working on it over here.
Okay, catch up. Thanks.
Thank you. Member Kama, you have any questions?
Yes, I wanted to just say, all of the information that Corp Counsel is going to be doing and the research regarding all of these discrepancies that was mentioned by Member Paulton, that if we could all get a copy of all of that, so we can all get on the same page as to where it all began and where it all is going to end and how we correct as we go. So that's all I wanted to request, Chair.
Okay. Thank you. Members, any other questions before I end this meeting with a few comments? Okay. So I want to just, there's no clearing the mud because it's really confusing. But as a reminder, the council's time to appoint unilaterally will begin, according to admin, September 9th. So that's in a few days. As you know, members, we only have 30 days. So OCS is going to send you folks, all of us, an email documenting the vacancies that are available for the council to unilaterally appoint. Those are 22 vacancies. There are several that end in March of 2026. So whoever you ask to volunteer, their term will only be for a few months. So you may want to focus on the ones that are beyond 2026. That's just a sidebar note. Now, OCS will be sending you those lists soon. Of course, we have to do a reso. We're all familiar with that stuff. I'll start after. I think the most important thing that came out of this meeting, and members, please jump in if you folks have anything to add, is that OCS and Corp Council will work together to create, one, a flow chart for how vacancies are going to be filled pre and post IMB, and provide it to the council and whoever they need it, so that we can all be on the same timeline and we can all understand how this is going to work going forward. And two, create a process of communication for the IMB list for post IMB vacancies. And let us know, can we create a process to let us know when the admin unilaterally appoints to any board and commission, and we will do the same, and we will let, I mean, ours is a reso, so it's quite public, but nonetheless, we'll do the same, and letting admin know which seats have been unilaterally filled by the council, so we're all working on the same vacancy list. Maybe you folks can also kind of coordinate beyond what Member Paulton was saying about that one person, but coordinate the timelines on which vacancies happened when. I know that's kind of splitting hairs, but that's what we do sometimes. And then, shucks, I just had one more thing that I didn't write down. I don't know, now I forget. If I send you an email, I'll send you an email. The list. We just need the list for those post-IMB, and we need, as a council, to figure out how we're gonna seat those pre-IMB. Yes? Member Rollins Fernandez?
Mahalo, Chair, for creating us a map, as Member Kama stated, which I love, a Google map to help us navigate out of this. I just wanted to add one comment to the suggestion of avoiding the seats that have the term expiring next March, that I think they could serve like now until March, and then, if they're doing a good job, we could keep them on, reappoint them. And that might be good too, because then they'll have gone through all the steps of swearing in and submitting their financial disclosure and, those things. But I support everything that you just said, Chair, and mahalo for summarizing what the takeaways from today's meeting.
Thank you for that, and that's a good point. So if we do seat somebody in the 26 seat, I know we created a law that they can kind of roll over. Is that still applicable, or do they have to, because the vacancy has now been created post-IMB, go through that process? Or we can stick with the unilateral appointment and they can roll over? Okay.
They can.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Member Rollins Fernandez. That's important to know. We will let, if we do put somebody in there that expires in the 2026, let them know that that's something we can consider as well. I appreciate that. Member Johnson?
Thank you, Chair. I'll be quick because I just have one question for the administration. Do you have the tools you need to do a good job?
How can we help? Tequila, paperwork, what you need?
I'll be quite honest, my predecessor, Corey Vissens, she did all of this work all by herself. She was asking for help for the longest time and never got it until she decided to leave. And then both of us were hired on instead to do this work, which takes a lot more, I'll be quite honest, than just two people to do the boards and commissions work. It's a lot of work, especially when you're also having to staff a lot of the commissions yourself as well too. And especially with the commission that meets practically every 2 weeks. So after I have one meeting, I have to work on the agenda for the next meeting and make sure the minutes are also done as well too. And it's a lot of work that is put upon us that we try to do as much as we can possibly do.
I really appreciate that candid response and thank you. I didn't say thank you yet, so thank you guys for your service and thank you for that. Come budget season, this is what the body can do. We can help you guys fill spots, but at any given time, the mayor's office can really kick it up a notch if you guys, if there's a need, and that's what I was trying to find. It sounds like you guys we don't want to leave you out to do an impossible task. So if you speak to the mayor and you need a bigger budget, they could help you. If that doesn't work, this body can help you during budget. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys have the tools in the toolbox. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Member Johnson. And yes, thank you so much for all being with us. It's been not even navigating, we've just been wayfinding this whole process. It's been quite difficult and confusing, so I do appreciate you guys' time. Members, this item was posted for no legislative action, so no part, we got to do any more stuff. They got to do more stuff, and then we'll hear from them. As a reminder, please check your emails. OCS will be emailing you so we can continue to work on these vacancies. And it is 3:47, and this great meeting is adjourned.